now chaplain at the Virginia home. We have had a long history with the Virginia home, and each family praise service, we take a few moments to celebrate some missional aspect that our congregation is involved in. And so Mike's going to come. Mike and I knew each other before we knew each other. We were seminary students together at Southern Baptist Seminary, and we've had a chance over the last several weeks to connect in a little bit better way. Unfortunately, over some grief and sadness, but God brings good things even out of the most darkest moments, and one of them is allowing Mike and I to become friends and for us to have the opportunity for him to come and share. So Mike, come and share with us this morning.
Good morning. Appreciate the chance to come and share with you. I, along with my friends Keith, Joan, and John, bring you greetings from the Virginia home. And also, just so you know, if you have not already heard, today is Keith's birthday. Keith turned 78 today. And just before we sing happy birthday to him, I also wanted to know that next Sunday is John's birthday, and he will turn 52. And in a little less than a month, in August, Joan's birthday, where she will also turn 78. So let you know that you have these birthdays here together. So I've been told that we can sing for Keith now, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Keith. Happy birthday to you. Amen. And also, just so you know, Keith is the longest serving, or the resident at the Virginia home who has lived there the longest. He came to the Virginia home in 1959. But also I know John and Joan have been there for quite some time themselves. In the mid-1800s, Mary Tinsley Greenhow was paralyzed when she fell from a horse while crossing a bridge. Fortunately for her, her family had the means to provide her with the best care of that day. As she struggled and lived with her own disability, she became aware that there were many other people with the same or worse lifelong physical disabilities. She began to dream of a place where individuals with these physical disabilities could receive the care they needed in a place where they would also find community and companionship no matter what their financial abilities. A place they could call home for the rest of their lives. This dream became a reality in 1884 when the Virginia Home for the Incurables, which is what it was first known as, came into being in Richmond. In the 130 years since that time, the name has changed just to the Virginia Home. I'm thankful that they dropped the Incurables part. The location has changed to a beautiful setting right by Bird Park overlooking Swan Lake there. And it's grown from the 8 residents that filled the first home to 130 residents today. Sometime in that history, at least more than 40 years ago, Patterson Avenue became a part of the home's community by welcoming several residents into your church, as well as members of the church working and volunteering at the home. I was talking to Keith just before that and asking how long he had been here, and he couldn't remember, but he said it had been longer than Buddy had been coming here, and I know that Buddy had been here for at least 25 years. So the history goes way back. Part of that was that for more than 30 years, Art Graham served as chaplain at the Virginia home. And my understanding, I'm still not sure exactly all the connections, but my understanding was that that was made impossible in a large part to the support of Patterson Avenue Baptist Church here. For the last 4.5 years, I have had the privilege of serving as part-time chaplain at the Virginia home, alongside Jane Wooten, who is a retired doctor, went back to seminary, got a seminary degree, and served for many years as part-time chaplain. And last January, Jane retired. And so after some discussions, as of 3 weeks ago, I am now the full-time chaplain at the Virginia home, and quite excited to begin that ministry. I'll say begin, to continue that ministry, because over the time I've thought about more and more things I would like to do at the Virginia home. In between, I served as a special ed teacher, most recently in Hanover County, and it's nice to be a place where the residents appreciate your coming. Students don't always appreciate that when you show up in class for some reason. In case you didn't know, the Virginia home is a private, nonprofit home. While we do rely on funding from the government, it does not pay for all the services that our residents receive. A board of directors works to raise money necessary to keep the home running and providing state-of-the-art services for all of our residents. And I'm very thankful for those services and quite excited to see all the things that happen there. So for example, each resident has their own private room, and they can arrange it however they wish. Many of them have TVs in their room, and if not there, there's access to TVs in other places in the home. Residents also have access to computers and the internet, whether in their room or again in other places. And I'm quite impressed with how many of them will use assistive technology, buttons and switches and modified keyboards, so that they can access the computer and the internet, and many of them stay connected to family and friends through social media, email, and things like that. Some even use Skype. I was told recently of a resident who was not able to get up and be around in her wheelchair and loved bingo, and she had a iPad, some sort of tablet, and they used Skype so she could Skype from her room downstairs to the rec therapy room so she could play bingo with them. The home has a very active physical therapy department, an occupational therapy department, and a recreation therapy. Many residents begin their day with exercises in the PT area or swimming in the pool with one of the rec therapists. They also will often do crafts or other things in the occupational therapy department, where they often work on dexterity and things like that. The home also has several buses and vans and a community integration department that works to give the residents as much access to the greater community as possible. Since there are times they cannot accommodate all the residents that want to go places at the same time, such as attending church, they also help residents arrange other transportations, such as with caravans, which is how Keith, Joan, and John got here this morning. There are quite a few residents who attend churches throughout the Richmond area, so the home does kind of rotate taking them to those churches. So I think there's one Sunday a month or every other month that the home actually brings the residents here, and then the other weeks, caravans provide the transportation. As chaplain, I get to visit with residents. I spend time talking with them, counseling with them if they're having difficult times. I also do Bible studies. We have worship every Sunday afternoon. I visit when they are in the hospital. One of the other things that I also do is officiate at funerals of residents when they die. Such as recently, in my first 3 weeks, I've had to do 2 funerals of residents who are long-term residents. Most of you here would have known Buddy, who was the first of those 2 funerals that I did. And I was very thankful for Bill to be there and assisting with the service. And I was very grateful, and everybody at the home was very impressed with how many members showed up at that and showed their support as we remembered and celebrated Buddy's life. Our residents come from many faith backgrounds, and there's no way I can provide all the pastoral care and spiritual services that's needed. So I appreciate the many volunteers that come out and help in that way. Some of them come and lead services or other programs for our residents. I very much appreciate and count on Lee and the others who come every 5th Sunday and lead a worship service. Not only does it give me a little bit of a break, it means the residents get to hear somebody besides me doing a worship service, which is always a good thing. There are other churches that come sometimes and will do special services, such as a musical during Christmas or Easter. Others that will come and participate in one of the programs on Tuesday or Wednesday evenings. And sometimes there's volunteers that will come from churches and just sit and talk with residents. There's some who come and play bridge, some who come and play ping pong. It's whatever the residents enjoy doing and that you would do with any friend. I am thankful that Patterson Avenue has been connected with the Virginia Home for such a long time. I'm thankful for your welcoming our residents into your church, not just having them come and sit in services, but making them a part of your church family. And that is a big deal. The home really seeks to find places in the greater community that our residents can become a part. I'm thankful for the volunteers that come from here, that come out to the Virginia Home to lead in worship or to visit and connect with residents where they live as well. And I look forward to this relationship continuing long into the future. Thank you all very much for having me.